So I do got, went from like 85 degrees to, I need the heater in the garage again. So here we are, got the heater on. I'm gonna do some stuff today. I'm gonna take the wire wheel and the drill to the firewall. I did it in a few places. It's really not making a visible difference, like here and up here. But I'm just gonna go through quick and try to knock off any thick stuff because I want to paint that firewall. I'm just gonna spray paint it black, get that out of the way. Maybe hook up these wires to the starter, a few things like that. I'm going to open up another can of spray paint, finish off this little bit. That's going to be it for the firewall. I don't know. I want to take this off and let it drain out, but she's on there. I guess there is oil in it. I didn't think there was for a minute. Some water. I've been wanting to get in there to see what this looked like for a while. I haven't found any parts yet, just very minimal oil and some water. Well, I knew that was FUBAR in there. This is not a surprise. I mean, this chassis was a mud truck for the last long time. There's actually, I don't know which side it is, the wheel bearings. There's no seal anyways on the back. So I'm sure the back one looks just like that, but I'm getting ready to go in for the night and figured I'd pop that off of there and see if gravity wanted to do its thing. Tip that upside down, maybe it'll empty out as well. I'll go ahead and put the bolts back in there so I don't kick them around. Well, welcome back, maybe. I'm not sure. Probably not. Probably in the middle of a video here somewhere. But we got a bunch of stuff has changed. I don't even know honestly what the last clip was at this point. I got the bed floor in the garage. I got the sides tore off it. There should have been some footage of that. Maybe there wasn't.
because I need to get the floor done so we can paint it and then put sides on it, which I don't have yet. I need to sandblast the core support, the front and rear drive shafts, and the tailgate. The tailgate is a little rougher than I was hoping or realized. I've been trying to sandblast this, but it won't stop raining. It's been raining for 137 days. We had one day yesterday that it wasn't raining. So I did start on it yesterday, but the stinking sandblaster was acting up. I don't know what's going on with that, but I got some. Basically, what I'm doing here is the cross members. All right, they're rusty. That's that. This is not sandblasted. I did pressure wash it, but you know, you got stuff like this where it does need some attention, but the sandblaster was being such a pain in the butt. I did these too. This one isn't actually done. It needs a lot of love from the sandblaster, but I went and took my big wire wheel cone on the grinder. I took all the big chunks off of this. You know, I hit these, took them down, maybe hoping that the sandblaster would be able to take off what's left without too much trouble. It started raining, so I brought it in the barn. But I did order a bunch of parts. So I got steering components here. This is all the new stuff, in case you can't tell. This is the old stuff right here. What do you think of this? If you know, you know. If you don't know, I'll tell you. This is a Jeep Cherokee steering shaft. Going to use that to replace and delete the rag joint setup that's on the truck. Now everyone's like, oh, delete the rag joint because it trues up your steering. It doesn't lag, it doesn't whatever. But my experience with rag joints is when they're old, they can rip. And then your steering wheel isn't connected to your steering box, so the truck just goes wherever it wants. So that's what I'm doing here. That's my reason for it. Of course, this is from China. Most of your units, you know, it was $50, I think. You can buy this from your parts store for $360 some. Most of these had a stuff in there. You heat that up, melts it out, and then this will move. You know, that's, this piece is inside this piece. Well, this one, they have it crimped. I originally thought those were welds, but it's just a crimp. They pinched it. So I'm going to try to drill those crimps out, see if I can get this thing to move in and out on itself, because in its current configuration, it's too long. I probably ain't ready to put the steering tie rods on yet, because I got to take the hubs off and do the brakes and bearings and all that stuff over there. That actually worked pretty good. That drilled pretty good. Must be that soft Chinese metal. But oh, it worked. Yeehaw. Well, you know what? There is some of that plastic stuff in there. Okay, now I got it see, that's where it was. This is where it's at now, but it was already too long, so I need to, that was just to see if it was gonna move, so now I need to compress it. There's some of that melty material inside of there. I got it to collapse, so the drill marks are down in here somewhere now, so let's take it over a truck. I also got transmission lines. That was the last piece of the puzzle that was kind of keeping us from doing the start video on this. So if I can get this on there, I'll probably go into putting the transmission lines on, and I guess move forward with trying to start this thing. That's a good time for that. Okay, here is the steering box, and here's the other end. So now, maybe you're scratching your head if you don't know the Jeep Cherokee. Cherokee? Yeah. From like 88 to the mid 90s ish. They're exactly the same on this end. It just slides on and put the bolt in. It's how it is. The other end is shaped the same, so it goes on there the way you want it to. And I see people do different things. Well, I see people do all the same thing. This bolt that clamps that on there, where the bolt goes through, is it makes this hole not round. So the end that it slides on is round. And it doesn't actually let the bolt go in there, okay? It goes on there, but when you try to put the bolt in, it doesn't cooperate. What I wondered is, you know, they mark it on this end, and they take a file or something and file out a groove so that bolt can go through there. But this end on the Chevy is got a through bolt. So you would go down through here. This hole should be here, drilled all the way through, and then it's on there, I guess. And I kind of thought about doing that. See the bolt hole? When I put this on, and I'll just mark that location on here with my marker, and then I can go drill a hole through there. There. The effort is probably the same, I guess. If you made a little groove in the other side that goes inside of there with a file, this is how I wanted to do it, and this is how we are. And if we have to, we can still use that original hole the way everyone else does it. So I'm just putting a bolt in to tighten this end on. I'm gonna have to collapse this shaft a little bit farther to get it on there. There's no way to tell if the steering is gonna be straight because none of it is hooked up to the actual wheels. All right. That worked. Oh, a little bit. See how straight my freaking hole was. Not very, I can tell you. Actually, it wasn't very close at all. Oh, the bottom went in. In case you're ever in a head-on collision, this will slide inside of here instead of shoving the steering column through your chest. It worked the way I wanted it to. So that's a 1-for-1. That fits right on there. You don't have to do anything to it. This end fits right on there, depending on if you want to use the existing hole. This is how the Chevy was actually set up with a through bolt. So it goes, you know, the bolt goes through the male and the female side. So it can't come out unless the bolt falls out. On to transmission lines. 81 to 87 Chevy truck. Turbo 400 transmission lines. Do, 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 do. Here's the end that goes on the transmission. All right. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be over here. I am definitely gonna just do this. I'm not gonna record it because clearly, what are you gonna see? And I'm gonna be under the truck banging my head on everything, so let you know what we come up with. That's not too bad. They're in the general vicinity. Just ran them like they go in the transmission right here and here, underneath the starter, along the engine, and they come up underneath the engine mount, over top of the cross member, and out front, where someday we'll have a core support. I guess I gotta hook the starter wires up still. There might be a little bit of wiring I have to go through. These are the starter wires. This big wire goes on there. This wire with no end on it is the exciter wire. Battery is gonna go here also. So that will feed back through here. And it comes up to there. From there, it goes inside, which would be all your keyed accessories. Tighten them down. I'll know if I got power inside the cab. And if I do, it should crank. Last night I had a few minutes to mess around with this. I've been trying to get this fuel line right here. This isn't the actual right one. It was bent quite a bit different than what I needed, but I was able to manipulate it and get it in there. It doesn't leak. What I got going on here is I was trying to bleed the fuel system, but I screwed up that line. But here's my temporary fuel, so it can gravity feed into the pump, the lift pump there, which is brand new. It runs off the cam. Gravity bleed, so I had to bleed the injectors because last time I ran this engine, it had run out of fuel. So I filled that up, put the new pump on, put a new fuel filter on, and I cracked all the injector lines so they're open so any air could work out. That's the benefit of having a gravity feed, you know, temporary. Pretty quick, I started getting fuel out of a couple of these. That lift pump has a pump lever on it. Of course, I wasn't recording any of that because it was kind of spur of the moment, had a few minutes to mess around. So when I got the fuel to come out of the injectors without much of a battle, I got excited. So I hooked up the battery, gave the key a twist, and it fired up to an idle instantly. Fired right off. Again, it's been a while since I had a video, and I was excited, and we did this, so I didn't get anything on video for starting. But I'm going to start it for you today here. Just wanted to give you that rundown. This hose that I'm holding is an oil supply line for the vacuum pump. Vacuum pump. This line goes underneath of here, way back there. There's a port for the oil to come out of into here. Well, this line wasn't on when I started it. So I was over there, reached in the passenger side, turned the key, it started up, and I walked around the front here. About the time I got right here, a hot dog size diameter stream of oil was blowing out the side of the engine. Covered this door, just was nicking the side of the toolbox because it was over there. That had minimal cleanup on it, but I didn't even clean this up. This is just, the oil ran off of there, but I got a clip on my phone from right after it happened. I'll put that in here so you can see how kind of bad it looked. Well, I bled out the fuel system, cranked it over for about 1.5 seconds and it fired up. And I got quick notification on some of the oil leaks it might have. So I made quite a mess, but I wasn't mad. I was pretty excited because it fired up to an idle. That's the first time in a long time this engine has ran. I'm gonna put this on here. I'll get back with you after a little bit. You don't want to watch me put it on there. It's just a little bit of thread tape and a little bit of swearing. I didn't get very far. That's the line I had earlier. I had to go get this one made. A little bit of a difference there, huh? You can kind of see it hooks in right there. And the other one is right there. Tight. Tight. Got a nice loop back there where it's not pinched off. Now it turns over with the key, but I gotta hook this wire that turns the fuel pump on up somewhere to an accessory when the key comes on and make it hot. I just gotta kind of hook it on there. That'll probably work now. What is it? What'd you say?
I said the whole thing like twerks, like
Oh,
twerks, whatever you want to call it.
I'll take you out here to the yard and show you my newest project. I got this beauty. This thing runs and drives. It's a 1972 Ford E100. Maybe a 150, I'm not really sure. The guy spray painted the living hell out of it. He did some really nasty like fiberglass body repair, but I'm not knocking him for that because it did save what was left. I'm just gonna make a little camping unit out of this thing. Look at this. Look at the step. It's awesome. Straight 6 engine. Got a little 3 on the column. Standard shift. Got some way bad carpet work in here and some old school paneling. Basically, we'll get to this winter too, but I'm just gonna gut this thing out and redo it all. Maybe down the road I can convert this thing to four-wheel drive. That would be pretty neat. Not that I'm gonna go mud bogging with it, but it would be nice to go to some of these van jam or motorcycle rallies. They're basically out in the middle of a field, and if you get any rain while you're there, you're kind of screwed with a two-wheel drive unit. So, all right, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. But I wanted to let you know in the closing that this particular video, and maybe even some of the ones to follow, are shot over the course of a summer and part of a winter. And things are kind of getting back on track here. So at the posting of this video at the end of January in 2024, this truck is in the exact same trim that it was in the last clip, which was the middle of summer, I think. So that being said, we're getting ready to get back working on this and get some more footage and hopefully finish it up. So if you've been following this truck, I know it's probably painful, but we should be wrapping it up here. At least my goal is to get it in position where I can drive it. You know, get the differentials, drive shaft, and the front clip on. So that'll be hopefully what's coming up with that soon. But stay tuned. Thanks for watching.